We're sure glad that you have tuned in with us today here on Rural Radio, our 5th anniversary, also on RFD TV. Let's go right straight over here to the corn market and find out what the latest numbers are. We're back to the higher side again, and we have been higher. In fact, we've been as much as 3 to 4 cents higher earlier in the day. And then we went lower about an hour ago. Now we're back to the higher side with that new crop December corn contract up a half at 355 1/4. And for the soybean market, we're still pushing higher, maybe giving a little bit of a lift to the corn market also. August soybeans up 13 1/2 at 832 1/4. November soybeans up 14 3/4. It's at 849. And over in the wheat market, it's September Chicago wheat down 6 1/4, 490 3/4. Kansas City wheat down 7 1/2 for September at 484 1/4. September Minneapolis wheat is down 3 1/4 at 528 1/2. This is a market that was actually higher on Friday and led the way higher. For the cotton market today, we've got the December down 23 at 87.61. Let's go to the edge of the trading floor in Chicago at the end of LaSalle Street there and at the CME Group. Scott Gecas joins us. He is with Long Leaf Trading. Scott, first of all, this corn market actually slipped below unchanged for a time, but is now starting to come back. Is the bean market providing any lift?
Yeah, I think so. I think the bean market is driving the wheat a little bit higher as well as the corn. So soybeans are definitely the leader. You know, there's a few things that came out over the weekend that really spark our interest. You know, after Friday's close, I mean, that market got pushed down to about a 10-year low. That's pretty significant. Well, you know, weather is driving yields up a little bit, but the biggest thing that came out over the weekend that what we are looking at is the imports from China. All this trade war talk, everything going on, saying that it's a negative tone for the soybeans with the Chinese imports. You know, even though that the month-on-month exports out of the U.S. to China are slipping a little, but the exports are still 13% above last year. So, I mean, they still are going there, just maybe not as fast as some of the traders would like to see.
You can make a lot of great points there. Is the word bounce being used to describe this soybean market today at all?
I think it is a little bit of a bounce, but for us looking at on a technical side, we can't be confident enough unless if we're above 854 or so.
Okay, all right. Where do you see some of these levels being significant over in the corn side of the market?
The corn market's been in a very tight range lately. It's been between 350 to 360. It's waffling back and forth a little bit, but until we can get a clear breakout one side or the other, you know, we're not really willing to commit one side or the other yet.
All right. Scott Geek is here with us at the edge of the trading floor, and when we come back, we will be talking about the livestock trade, so stay with us here on the Market Day Report. As we get started on this tour of the livestock trade, let's start over here in the live cattle market today. Live cattle headed higher here, especially on that August contract, up $2.80 at 107.35. October up $1.74 at 109.12. Just changing now, 109.15. So we got a little bit of an increase there. December live cattle up 162 at 113.02. The feeder cattle market also on the higher side. August up 208 at 152.80. So we've got both the August feeder cattle and the August live cattle kind of, here over $2 higher for both of them, and really leading the pack with the rest of the contracts. September feeder cattle up $1.64 at 152.72. October up $1.60 at 152.95. The show list is out today, by the way. Over in the hog complex, we've got the August steady at 70.15. That's our new front month contract. October down 90 at 54.40, and December down 42 at 49.98. Let's go back to the edge of the trading floor and get thoughts on all of this as Scott Gecas rejoins us here. First of all, we'll start here in the cattle market. A little bit higher. It's kind of an interesting week last week where we didn't see all of the show list completely cleaned up and sold. And now we've got a little bit of cattle to carry over into this week. And there's just a lot of talk about where this cash may trade, but it was still above the futures.
Right, yeah. Everyone's concerned. It's just the protein complex across the board. Everyone's concerned about supply concerns just moving forward. Cash traded for cattle is around 111. However, they did trade about 104 midday on Friday. Those are two significant prices. We're going to see where that cattle cash is going to trade sometime today, but that's definitely a leading factor in that cattle market.
Are you watching for signs of support in either the feeders or the live here?
Yeah, definitely looking for signs of support. Hopefully we could get a little bit more bounce. That supply and demand issue is definitely still going to be there with, the supply concerns moving forward. That summer demand or that seasonal demand just didn't show up as expected.
Scott, what are you hearing from the floor today? Is there very much talk about this Friday's cattle on feed report?
A little bit, but not as nearly as much as you would think. They're really not putting that big of an emphasis on that number going into the rest of the week. So we're just going to watch and see how that's going to play out. Cattle's been in a tight range for quite a bit of time. We still have a lot of room to run to the upside if we can break those levels.
Well, we're talking about that. What's the volume like today?
The volume there is none. So everything across the board, pretty much, except for maybe a little bit in the bonds and oil. Oil is the biggest news factor today, being down as much as it has been. With all the news that came out over the weekend, that's definitely driving prices a little bit lower. They're running into supply concerns as well.
All right. Scott Gecas here with us with long leaf trading at the edge of the trading floor. Good to visit with you, sir. Have a good afternoon.
You too. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you very much. Scott Gecas here to join us. And that seems to be the big talk today, Christina, is what's going on in the oil market. And we're continuing to watch it. It is slipping lower.